Welcome, everybody, to another edition of
Sorry.
the Exes Podcast. Flashbacks to Gary days. Welcome to another edition of the Exes Podcast. I'm Scott.
I'm Therese.
And we are the Exes. And we like to talk about things like, it could be anything about relationships or remaining friends after the relationship ends. Any of that stuff, we could certainly talk about that with you if you'd like. But we found that we both have this very strange, very unusual, very fetish-like attraction to crime. And I don't know how healthy it is, but it makes me smile when I see a good murder. So
I love it.
I feel like we had, last year, we had the Daybell thing going on. We had the College Town murders. We had all these other things going on. We're kind of in a rut right now. So anybody out there planning a murder, make it complicated. Don't get caught right away, and give us some stuff we can work with. Okay, I'm just telling you. Not that I'm encouraging.
Make it easy.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're in kind of a lull here. Although there's still plenty of people getting killed all the time.
Well, right now the main cases are a lot of children, and I can't spend too much time on those.
It's depressing, right?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to have sympathy. I know that the race car driver, I don't know if you've heard this, the race car driver, Jimmy Johnson, his in-laws, so his wife's parents, and their
grandson.
Their grandson, so it would have been his nephew, I believe.
Yeah.
The grandfather and the grandson were killed by the grandmother, then she killed herself.
Mm-hmm. I heard that.
Which is just horrific. Absolutely horrific to believe it. Sandy Mom is with us. Hello, Sandy Mom.
Hi. Hi, kids.
She's always, hi, kids. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, because you've got a case we're gonna kind of jump into a little bit, and we're going to talk about some celebrity crimes today, which is going to be a lot of fun. Because all these great celebrities out there, they got some history. There's some stuff going on we want to talk about. I didn't even know about some of these. But one of the things I heard now this was back, would have been 4 or 5, almost 6 years ago. The Turpins. The Turpins was the mother and father had 13 kids. And they kept them prisoner in the house. Chained, locked, malnourished, uneducated, dirty. The 17-year-old looked like she was 12. I mean, just horrific things. Torture, beatings, choking. The list goes on. Talk about stuff that people do to kids. Right. They were doing it to every one of their freaking kids, and the kids became like almost programmed. Even the times when they probably could have run away, they just too terrified to do anything.
Yeah.
And this went on for years, didn't it? Mm-hmm. It was a long time.
It was a long time. Yeah. The oldest was like 29. So.
And it started shortly after the oldest was born. It started.
I believe he went to school for a couple of years.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then they started this extreme keeping him at home and homeschooling, as they say.
So, she said they called them things. They actually took vacations together. Strange that they would do that, and get pictures of them at Disney World, all wearing thing 1, thing 2, thing 3, thing 4, thing 5, all the way up to thing 13 or thing 12, however many were with them at that time. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, one of the kids escaped, called the cops. The cops handled it beautifully, went over, did a wellness check, don't need a warrant, don't need anything. There's a concern the child might be hurting. They get to go in. And they unchained everybody but one child in a bedroom they didn't think the police would find. And the police found it, saw the kid chained, and that's it. Game over. Everybody started getting arrested, or the parents got arrested. Kids went into protective services. Here's the thing. Now you got all these kids. They need a lot of help. They got nothing. And people started pouring money in their direction. There was donations and charities and all sorts of stuff. and the court appointed a guardian of the money. And most of the money never made it to the kids, and there's never been an explanation as to where the money went. And the reports that were supposed to be filed on that money were never filed. So I never knew about this until today. I heard about it today, and I know they knew about it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That the money was disappearing. So have you heard anything else about this?
Well, a couple of years ago, I heard about the money problems, that the kids never really got any of that. I heard that they didn't, when they asked for help, they were kind of told, the older kids, when they asked for help getting a job, or they were told they kind of had to figure it out for themselves. I think a couple of the older kids were living in like a really bad neighborhood because that's the only apartment they could afford.
Yeah.
One was homeless for a while. The little kids were in foster care.
Which is, it's kind of a twisted thing because the house they were living in and being tortured in was in a beautiful neighborhood.
Yes.
And it was actually a beautiful home on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
The inside was a house of horrors.
Mm-hmm.
So they escaped that so they can go live in squalor somewhere else, which really didn't make any sense. And I would love to know, I mean, where's the outrage at what happened to this money and why didn't the kids get this money?
Yeah, I agree.
The parents totally dehumanized the kids. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They dehumanized them. The parents got life in prison with a possibility of parole after 25 years.
Why? Why do they need possibility of parole?
I don't know because they didn't kill anybody, I guess. But, I don't know. State to state, case to case, there's no rhyme or reason to some of the sentencing that we hear about.
Yeah.
Now the college town murders that we reported on, the 4 kids in the college house, they weren't in a dorm, they were in a house right off the campus or in the campus somewhere. They were renting a house. They were on the top floor of the house. 3 girls, 1 guy were killed by a guy with a knife. Apparently planned this thing out. Some criminal justice major from the school from the next town over.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's facing death penalty.
Yeah.
And now it's been pretty quiet, but now it just came out, I think yesterday, he's facing death penalty. So now his lawyers are kicking in saying, oh, we want to see the evidence. We want to see all this stuff. Yeah. Now you're starting to talk.
Yeah. It's still going to be, they're going to delay it because, they're going to claim they don't have enough time to go through all the evidence and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And this is already a year and a half old now.
Yeah.
About a year and a half on that case.
I think so.
By the time you see it go to trial, I don't assume it's going to trial this year. So
no.
Yeah. As far as our other cases, have you heard any other updates on any of our other stuff that's going on? Any of our peoples?
Lori Ballow's due to be sentenced July 31st.
They're going to televise that. I heard they were going to televise that.
I believe so. Yes.
Right, we're going to have to figure out how to do one of those watch party things so we can watch it at the same time.
I think there's a weekday though.
I'll take the day off.
Whoa.
That's a national holiday. It's called Fry a Psycho Day.
It's a Monday. I get out early on Mondays.
There you go. I'll get out early. We got to watch that. That's research for our show.
I know, right? So they haven't set his trial date yet. Kay Woodcock is going to do a victim's letter, a victim statement in court. She's going to be there. And I believe she's the only one that's going to be there in person. Summer is going to send a letter to the judge.
I have a feeling that Kay's going to ask for mercy. I just have that feeling.
She doesn't want the death penalty. She would rather have her in jail every single day until she dies.
Mom is joining us on our watch party for that. So we'll have to get her in on it too. We'll have to figure out how to make those things work, but definitely we'll do a watch party for that. She really, I mean, you can give her the death penalty, but she's not going anywhere because she's still got to go to trial in another state.
Well, she actually is not getting the death penalty, but I don't think Kay is going to ask for leniency because she killed not only her grandson and this girl that she knew since she was like 4 years old, But she also killed her brother. And she knows that he was ambushed, and she knows that she had something to do with that.
Oh, yeah. And listen,
So
everybody
I don't
knows.
think she's asking for leniency at all.
That's
Okay?
like all of us saying, hey, OJ was innocent. No, he wasn't. We all know he wasn't innocent. All right. We know she killed her brother. They just can't figure it out. That's all. And do they really have to? When you get up to a certain number of people dead, you could stop counting and just fry the person. Come on. We're done with them. But I know she's not facing death penalty. I know she's not.
Honestly, why they should know that was not self-defense with just the evidence. He was on the ground for the second shot. I mean, he was laying down on the ground already. He was already down. You can't do self-defense for that.
Oh, no. Okay. You're talking about Kay's brother, Charles, which was her husband. I'm talking about her brother.
Oh, who cares about him?
And yeah, but I'm saying I think she killed him too.
I think that they manipulated him into suicide is what I think.
Same as killing. I'm sorry. Same as killing. Whether you push them off the bridge or talk them into jumping, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. But
he was the loose end. For some reason, I think they thought if he's gone, nobody will ever catch us.
Oh, I'm sure they thought that. Yeah, I'm sure they thought that. And they also thought he's the weak link. He's going to eventually talk.
Yeah. I almost wish the two of them would stay together long enough that we can kind of let them out, leave them together long enough that one of them would kill the other, because that's eventually happen. Her and Chad, Lori and Chad. If we put them together long enough, one of them will kill the other one. It's a foregone conclusion. But all right, so she's getting sentenced. He's going to trial. Apparently, it's still on for February of next year.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, February something. But yeah, so we're still on for that. And like I said, the College Town murders, now they're asking for death penalties. So now the case is going to get much more complicated.
They're asking for DNA retesting and this and that.
And they're still researching every open case in Pennsylvania just to see if he's done the shit before, Who knows? Who knows? But tell us about this thing. You found a case the other day that looked a little interesting. What'd you find?
Oh, it's actually an old case. It was from Orlando, Florida. Dalia DiPolito. She was trying to hire a hitman to kill her husband after she had already tried to poison him herself. She tried to plant drug because he was on probation and had been a previous drug abuser. So she planted drugs in his car, near his gas tank, under his seat, and then she called the police on his car. And so they
wait a minute. Slow down. Back up. So she wanted to have him killed, and they couldn't do it.
Well, no. Before she went to the killing, she actually was trying to get him back into jail.
Oh, okay. Before the killing, before the hiring. Yeah. So she planted the drugs, and then what happened from there?
Well, she stole a whole bunch of money from him, and then when he started figuring that out, she tried to hire a hitman to kill him. But she talked to her old lover and asked him first, and he just didn't feel good about it. So he contacted the police, and he started working with them. So she was actually pitching to an undercover policeman, and they decided to tell the husband, get him out of the house, call her back to the house, and let her know that he was killed and see what she would do. There was all this, theater in the street where she's crying. And then later they told her that he was alive, that she was trying to hire an undercover policeman. They have it all on tape. They have it all on camera. So.
Oh, my God.
But she did get, let me see, I think she got convicted at the first trial. And then there was something with the juror. So they called for a retrial. She was able to be out on house arrest at her mom's house. Nice house in Florida, pool in the backyard. For another year or so before her second trial. That, I believe, was a hung jury. And then finally she got reconvicted on the third trial.
Why do all the psychos come to Florida? Why? Why? Come to Florida, fun in the sun with a gun. I mean, they all flock down here.
I know.
So she is now back in jail.
I believe so, yes.
Still trials to come.
No. No, she's exhausted all of her appeals, I believe.
Oh, her appeals are done.
But nobody died, so she is due. I think she's eligible for parole at some point, but she'll be like 70. 70.
Yeah, you can still order a hit at 70. Don't worry.
Well, you can, but and apparently somewhere when she was out on house arrest, she got pregnant with. They don't even know whose baby it is.
Oh my God.
So when she went to jail, she had like a 2-year-old.
Oh my God. It's crazy.
But it was her husband's.
I have to find the old case. There was a case of a woman who hired somebody to kill her husband. And I'm going to find this case, and I'll find it before our next show so I can really, really recite it. But I always got a kick out of this. She hired and gave, I think, $5,000 to somebody to kill her husband. They had the same thing, a little crisis of conscience there for a moment. They went to the police. She got arrested. She ended up going to jail. And from jail, she took the guy she hired to civil court for breach of contract.
Did she win?
No, but it actually got to court. Nobody looked at that and said, you can't sue somebody for that.
I know, that's crazy. So she was sentenced to 16 years in prison in 2017.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, let's have a little fun. What do you think? I think we should have some fun.
Okay.
There are people, and I've got the list here. This is official list. There are people, celebrities and icons in Hollywood and music industry who have committed crimes, not minor crimes. Some of these are pretty serious crimes. Wait a minute. Here we go. Mom is kicking in. The woman who poisoned her husband and then wrote a book about grief is now trying to sue for the husband's money.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if she's out on bail, but she was arrested for the murder.
Yeah. And
they think they've got her dead to rights on all the evidence and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Yeah, I know it's crazy.
Because he had suspicions, so he switched his life insurance to his sister to be his beneficiary. So I think she's suing his sister.
I see. So Mel Gibson. Now we all know he got pulled over for the DWI.
Yeah, and went on a rant.
He got arrested for DWI. What's that?
And went on a rant.
Went on a rant and was abusive to the police officers. He's also he took a plea deal earlier back in 2011 for battering his wife.
Oh, really?
He had actually been arrested for beating his wife and took a plea deal, a no contest plea deal for that. So
the wife that he's still married to?
I don't know. Ex-wife. It says ex.
Oh, okay.
I should see that word. I should know that word. Ex-wife. Now here's another one. Tim Allen. Tim Allen, Tool Time guy.
Yeah, I knew this though. Go ahead.
You know this one.
Yeah, he was very honest about it.
He was arrested for drug trafficking back in 1978 for a very large amount of cocaine. Spent 2 years and 4 months in a Minnesota prison. And then he went on to become Tim the Tool Man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. When Tool Time was pretty popular, he did a lot of interviews and he was very honest about that. And that's pretty much why he figure he was funny, but that's part of the reason why he went into comedy is because he couldn't find a job when he got out.
Probably, yeah. That's a good point. Here's one you might not know about. Felicity Huffman.
Yeah. We know about her.
I'm still not sure what exactly she did wrong. Because I understand she lied to the school, or no, she bribed the school to get her daughter into a school.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that a federal charge?
because it's a lot of money. If it's over a certain amount, isn't it automatically go to the Fed? But it was a whole scam. And I do think that I think that all of those famous people that were involved in that, I think that they knew something shady was going on, but it was also presented to them. The guy that presented it he was also scamming them.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't like, they didn't start this thing. They got in on it with whoever was at the school doing it. Bribery is always federal. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that, but here's what she pled guilty to. She pled guilty to federal charges of paying $15,000 to have a proctor correct SAT questions, that were answered incorrectly. So she basically paid to have her test fixed.
Yeah.
And she was given a 14-day prison sentence, $30,000 fine, 250 hours community service, and 1 year supervised release for her crimes. So that's what she pled guilty to. I thought there was more to it than just the SATs.
Maybe not for her. Lori Laughlin, I think they paid a lot of money and did pictures. They knew their daughter was going to be put into the crew group, and they did photos for that.
Which one is Lori Laughlin?
And
Felicity Huffman is married to William H. Macy, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's really embarrassing. Wow. All right. Okay, now I understand. I don't think I have Hoffman on my list, but I'll have to check that out next time. O.J. Simpson.
O.J.
Simpson. He found his way through that trial, got not guilty, but then ended up spending 9 years in a Nevada prison for being found guilty of armed robbery and kidnapping.
Yeah.
So you got away with 2 murders, and then you went out and you did armed robbery. How freaking stupid is this man? Did he play football without a helmet? What is wrong with this guy?
Well, I don't think he is the brightest. I don't think he had to be the brightest. I think everyone just kind of laid it all out for him.
I know. So he was paroled in 2017. You know where he moved after he was paroled?
Florida.
Hello, neighbor.
Yep, he lives in Florida.
God. A movie director, Roman Polanski. This goes back when Helter Skelter and all those things were going on. This goes back quite a ways. But he was a great movie director. He drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl in 1977. As part of a plea bargain, he pled guilty and spent 42 days in jail. The judge heard about this plea agreement and said, no, we're not going to give him 42 days. This is serious. And as soon as the guy found out the judge didn't like it and he was not going to honor it, he left the country, went to Europe, where he remains a fugitive today.
Yeah, he moved to France, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, I don't – listen, I get the whole thing about, we don't have an extradition country. We're a non-extradition country. But if we've got all this – if he did this and he was fleeing, why wouldn't you send him back?
I know.
A 13-year-old girl.
I know.
Good Lord.
Good Lord.
I know. Some of these people. Mike Tyson. The man had all the money in the world until he married Robin Givens. But he was found guilty of raping Miss Black America. She was a contestant for Miss Black America, Desiree Washington, and he got 10 years in prison. But he only served 6, and then he got out. But Mike Tyson, greatest boxer in the world, one of the greatest ever to be. Why are people ending up like this?
I know. With him, I would guess probably some roid rage, because he also wasn't he arrested for domestic abuse against Robin Givens also?
Oh yeah. I mean, but that was only like 3 or 4 times.
He bit some guy's ear off. I mean, come on. He's not the most stable person, okay? Take the roids away.
I think that was probably the first sign. When you're in a fight And you know how to fight. You've been fighting your whole life. From the time you were a little kid, you've been fighting. You're the world champion. You beat all these guys. And then one day you decide to bite a guy's ear off in the ring. I think there's a sign, shit's going south. You need to get some help. All right?
I think that might be a sign. I would agree.
Here's one I didn't know about, Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
Now, I know he was a rapper.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, I know Donnie Wahlberg was the bad boy in
New Kids on the Block.
New Kids Instinct, whatever they were.
New Kids on the Block, yeah.
New Kids on the Block. Now it's called Old Men Around the Corner. But he was the bad boy. No, nothing compared to Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg was a rapper. But before that, he was charged with attempted murder in 1987. And after he beat two Asian men while yelling racial slurs, and he almost beat them to death. He pled guilty to assault and served 45 days in Boston's Deer Island House of Correction. And after that, he started turning his life around. But he was actually involved in a lot of very bad things, very hate crimes. It was gang stuff, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he was part of a gang.
You know, and I know Donnie, like I said, Donnie was the bad boy in the New Kids on the Block, but you want the real bad boy, there was a time, and you know, and I've seen Mark Wahlberg in intense acting situations where I'm like, that's more than just acting. That's something where he's touching something like an anger that he's had before, that rage kind of thing. So, and I'm glad he is who he is today. I like him. He's a good actor. I like some of the stuff he does.
Yeah. I mean, he seems to have turned his life around.
Yeah, I think so. Kevin Spacey is on trial now. I know. I love Kevin Spacey.
Shouldn't that have happened a long time ago, though? Weren't those charges like a long time ago?
He's on trial right now in France.
Okay.
For something that happened there, but I don't know the timing of that. I know there's things that happen here in America.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly what he's on trial for in France. I think it was inappropriate sexual behavior with a minor. But I'm not positive. So we'll have to check that out and see where he's at. That's a shame. I mean, here's a guy with a great career. He's got everything, and he loses it all. He had that show. Apparently, the House of Cards show that he was in was brilliant. He was great impressionist. He was a funny guy. He made a lot of great films, and now nobody will hire him. Nobody will touch him with a 10-foot pole.
No, as they shouldn't.
Well, I guess they shouldn't.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
Well, let's. I mean, I don't know the details. I don't think he terrorized. I don't know if he raped any of them. I think there might have been some inappropriate behavior, but I've not heard the word rape yet. So I'm not sure, because if it was inappropriate behavior, maybe there's something that he needs help with.
But I think
once it reached the level of assault or rape, now here we go. Wait a minute. Sexual assault and battery is what he was being charged with, and yes, he did. Apparently, he did rape. So,
yeah, I thought there was more, and plus, I think when it came out here, I thought he was using his status and power to get women to do certain things.
Yeah.
Like threatening them that they would never work again, blah, blah, blah type thing.
Wow.
Kind of like the Weinstein piece of
that was a
crap.
Go ahead, say no. You can say it. Piece of shit.
Piece
the
of
guy's yes. Oh my God! And you know what? Weinstein was one of the ugliest men ever put on this planet. Too.
Oh my God! Yes.
Do you remember Santa Claus is Coming to Town?
Yes.
The Meister Burger?
Yes.
That was Weinstein right there.
I know.
That's what he looked like.
And do you know who his wife was, though?
Who?
Georgina Chapman from Marquesa. She used to judge one of the fashion.
Yeah.
The Project Runway. That was his wife.
Oh my God.
Beautiful.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to tell you, if you got a lot of money, you could be ugly as sin. Nobody cares.
Oh my God.
That's the truth. Do you think if he was broke, she'd be dating him?
No.
Or married to him?
No.
Or cross the street to save his life? No. No. Oh my God.
Well, there are also some of those that have just kind of fell to the wayside. Like, who was Matt Lauer? Whatever happened to him? He was the one that started this Me Too, right? It was the allegations against him that brought all of this up.
The allegations against him was he created a hostile work environment because of his advances. Sexual harassment. And I think there was one woman that came forward with a more serious charge, but it wasn't like this parade of women. Like we have with Donald Trump and we have with Bill Cosby and we have with all these people.
Right.
In the Weinstein. So I don't know. It kind of went by the wayside because it was also, I think we were still kind of like a little shocked and we weren't talking about it the way we do today. I mean, how long ago was that Matt Lauer thing? That's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but did he ever like serve time in jail or did he settle? Like what happened there?
These are Googleable events, people. We need to Google them and find out. They are Googleable. I don't even know if that's a word. It should be Googleable. Yeah. Matt Lauer disappeared.
Oh, see.
He went to visit a friend named Lori Daybell, and then he never came back.
Yeah, we could have hoped.
Well, I mean, he disappeared. In here, I think the thing with Matt Lauer was it was such a shock. When you spend every morning with somebody drinking coffee while you're in your boxers, you tend to learn to trust the guy. I'm just saying, okay? But there's almost a relationship people have with the morning show people. It's not like these guys like Weinstein that we don't see every day, or even Kevin Spacey, who's not. Matt Lauer's a guy you wake up every morning, you're listening to him, you're hearing him. Katie Couric, and those are people become part of. So I think it was just so shocking that it didn't get the coverage that all these other people got. Okay. I'm just thinking that. I don't know. That's why you and I should know the answer to what happened to him, and we don't.
No. Because I think he kind of just laid low. Like, I think it just kind of blew over.
He came across as a good guy, and so it was very difficult for people to believe. Let's see. Charlie Sheen had charges of domestic violence several times. Let's see. 50 Cent. He was charged with drug possession. There's a shocker. All right. Marijuana, heroin, cocaine. Okay. Unlawful possession of a firearm. Why do rappers not figure out stop carrying unregistered guns? I mean, all these rappers are getting caught with guns. If you don't carry one around, you're going to get caught. Let's see.
Okay, I have an update.
What's your update?
Matt Lauer finally sold his $44 million Hamptons estate in May of 2022, and reports suggest that he fled the U.S. for his farm in New Zealand. So wow. I don't think he ever went to anything. I mean, he got fired, yes, but I don't think any legal action ever came.
I don't know, probably because if most of that case revolved around the workplace, then him being fired, they might have said, okay, that's it.
Well, yeah, but sexual harassment in the workplace is still a crime. And if he was definitely using his thing of power. They said that he had a button under his desk in his dressing room that locked the door when female coworkers were in there.
That's not good. That is not good.
Stop laughing.
I'm not laughing. I'm just saying. I mean, somebody had to install that. People had to know about that.
That was the other thing too. Is yes, they assume other people knew and kind of turned a blind eye to it.
Just like when this whole Weinstein thing comes out, all of a sudden you got people crawling out of the woodwork. Yeah, we knew what was going on, but it's like there is no but. If you knew that was going on, stop it.
Right.
I mean, Weinstein, yes, he's guilty, but he's a sick son of a bitch. He obviously is a sick son of a bitch. Punish him. Get rid of him. I don't need him in my society anymore. But you know what? Other people have a responsibility. If there's somebody sick doing something sick to somebody else and you could stop it or you could say something, I don't think it's, everybody's like, oh, the women need to speak up. I think everyone needs to speak up.
Yeah.
It's not about gender. It's about people open their mouths. When you see something wrong, say something, for crying out loud. If you know that Matt Lauer's got a trap a lady button under his desk, Say something to somebody.
Right.
Maybe you could have saved him a lot of trouble too. Maybe you could have cut that off before he destroyed himself.
Maybe.
Maybe. You just don't know. I'll give you a
Doesn't sound
couple.
like he's too destroyed though.
Well,
Yeah,
I know.
$44 million and he's living in New Zealand. Okay.
What, 40 million you said? 40?
44.
44 million. Oh.
44 million. Yeah.
Well, he may have to skip lunch every once in a while to make ends meet, but I think he'll be okay. Jeez. $44 million. Jesus, I get a good speeding ticket. I'm wiped out. Okay. Okay. Wesley Snipes, he made $37 million in a 5-year period making movies, paid $0 in taxes. So he went to prison for 3 years.
Moron.
Danny Trejo. Do you know Danny Trejo?
No.
He's the guy who plays Machete. He's in a lot of action movies, but he's in a lot of movies. Danny Trejo. If you saw him, you would know him, but he's not in a movie that you would probably watch.
Okay.
But, but he's in recovery. He had a really, really bad drug problem. And he went to jail when he was 15 years old. At 23, he went to San Quentin prison for selling heroin to an undercover officer and trying to kill somebody and all this other stuff. Released from prison in 1969, put down the drugs, the drinking, went out to Hollywood to become an actor, and he's been clean and sober and helping people since 1969. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's good.
Here's one. Tanya Harding doesn't count. She's not a real celebrity. If she didn't whack McKeon on the, or whatever her name was, Nancy Kerrigan on the knee with the thing, nobody would know who she was.
Well, yeah, she would have probably, fallen to the second place like she was for a long time.
She sucked. She wasn't even that good. She would spend too much time crying on the ice because she broke a shoelace. So we're not even going to talk about her. A couple others. Robert Downey Jr., lots of trouble with the law.
Yeah.
But he turned it all around. Now,
Before he got sober, yeah.
Some of these, even like Mel Gibson, you could attribute a lot of what they were doing to their addictions. Mel Gibson actually got sober and then helped Robert Downey Jr. get sober.
Awesome.
And then Mel Gibson started drinking again, and Robert Downey Jr. had to go help him. So there's been a little quid pro quo going on there.
Well, that's good, Joe.
And, of course, my favorite, Martha Stewart.
Martha.
How do you put Martha Stewart in prison?
I bet you. Taxes.
I bet you by the time they left, they had the nicest linens and curtains in every cell.
I don't know why people think they can just not pay their taxes and commit fraud and crap.
Yeah,
you start stealing money from the federal government, and they're definitely coming after you.
She was doing insider trading, fraud, and obstructing justice. She was trying to hide evidence.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she was.
So she served. She only went to jail for 5 months. That's it.
And she went to a country club jail.
Yeah.
Federal jail. Yeah.
I saw her on some Comedy Central thing. 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg, her, and Ludacris were all on stage together. And she served more of the jail time than all of those guys put together.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Now, what about Robert Wagner?
Okay. Was he charged?
I don't think he was ever charged, but there has been suspicion about Natalie Wood's death ever since it happened, right?
Well, I mean, the only thing I really know for sure is that she never liked to shower on the boat because she always preferred to wash up on shore. Oh
my God,
is that wrong? Is it too?
Yeah.
Is it too soon?
No, not too soon, but it's wrong.
No, I mean, what is the story with the Robert Wagner? Because Christopher Walken was there as well. There was a couple people on that boat that night.
Yeah.
What do you know the story to be?
That's all I know the story to be is that those people were on the boat. She went overboard. She wasn't saved. She died. That's all I know.
But nobody got charged.
Nobody got charged.
There were rumors. There were allegations, but not one indictment of any kind. Not one. Not an arrest. There were questions, but no arrests.
Mhm.
And I don't even think any of them were considered a person of interest in a very intense way. There was just no evidence. There was no evidence. People on the boat, they were all drinking. Somebody fell overboard.
Yeah, I think that's what they kind of chalked it up to, although he has had been under public suspicion for all of these years.
Wow. Courtney Love, assault against another musician. And then, of course, she's had multiple drug charges. Christian Slater, the actor Christian Slater, he kind of fell off the radar. He was on his way to having a nice career, fell off the radar when he got involved in heroin, cocaine, and alcohol, and got in trouble for abusing his girlfriend, and spent a lot of time in treatment and never really recovered from that. Snoop Dogg was charged with murder in 1993, but was acquitted before he ever did any jail time. Because he turned evidence against something else, and so he was acquitted for the crime.
So
And
he was a snitch.
Randy Quaid. A cousin, was it cousin Eddie? From
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Vacation. Yeah.
Shitter's full. He and his wife were charged with burglary after they spent 5 days occupying a guest house at a vacant home that was owned by somebody else in Santa Barbara. They broke into a home, stayed in the guest house for like 5 days, and then just got charged with burglary and trespassing.
Why would they do that?
I have no idea. These people are very strange. Randy Quaid is one of those guys who thinks that the world's going to end and is pretty damn near holed up in a hole somewhere with guns, just waiting for the end of the world.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. So there's so many more out there. We can go on and on. I didn't even talk about what's Bill Cosby. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to give lip service to that.
That piece of shit.
Another one. Another one.
There's so many.
Oh, God. So what we're going to do is, we're going to try to get back on schedule. Things happen. So every once in a while, we're going to be skipping Wednesdays. We'll get on as often as we can. But you got, I'm working. Sometimes I got to travel. You got the grandkids. All of a sudden, turns out last week you had a birthday.
Yeah,
right?
It was her actual birthday. Yeah.
Well,
so I went over to their house and gave her gifts, and we had a little cake. Yeah. And then we had the party Saturday for a friend.
Oh, you had the party Saturday. That's when you had the princesses?
Yes.
You had Snow White, and who was the other one supposed to be?
No, it was not Snow White.
It was Snow White.
It was Belle and Cinderella.
Belle used to be called Snow White.
No.
Okay.
Never. No. No, never. So, yes, they came as a surprise.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, Jeannie's with us.
That's cute. Hey.
Hello, Jean.
Hello.
Oh, my God. What kind of wood doesn't float? Natalie Wood, I know.
Oh.
That was Mom who did that. Oh, my God. Love Danny Trejo. Yeah, sober a long time, 40 years. Yeah, exactly. He's been doing it for a long time. All right, what do you say we do some dumb criminals? What do you think? You want to wrap it up with dumb criminals?
Wrap it up with some dumb criminals.
Okay, planning is a very important part of committing a crime, okay? We're going to tell you, we do not endorse any of you going out and committing a crime. But if you're going to commit a crime, do some planning. Unlike Derek Mosley, who decided he was going to rob a store, went in with a baseball bat. Turns out it was a gun store he was robbing.
Oh.
Needless to say, he was trapped in a corner, wetting himself as the police were called. Because everyone in the store had a freaking gun, and he had a bat.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
A boy in Omaha, a 17-year-old boy in Omaha, stuck a gun in the face of a woman who was taking her son to school, demanding that she give him the keys to the car, and he was going to steal the car. She gave him the keys. Her son and her got out of the car. He jumped in the car, and the car took off and went directly into a tree because he didn't know how to drive a manual transmission. He was unconscious when the authorities arrived.
Oh.
All right. These men, Joey Miller and Matthew McNeely, decided they were going to be a little bit different. They didn't want to do the stocking masks. They didn't want to do the whole pillowcases over the head to rob a bank. They decided to just color their faces with marker. Unfortunately, they used permanent marker. They colored their faces with permanent marker, robbed the bank, and were found a day later when the marker still had not been able to be washed off.
Oh my God.
Oh, these are true things. True things. Yeah, don't break into houses if you're going to be coked up and drugged up.
Why didn't they use makeup?
Well, I don't know why.
Makeup washes off in 5 minutes. They
grab. Oh, they were given a nickname after they were arrested, Dumb and Dumber.
That fits.
They just decided to use marker to disguise their features.
Oh my gosh.
Just don't grab the Sharpie, people. Don't grab the Sharpie. Go for the dry erase ones. Those will come off really easy. Mark Smith, don't get tired. Don't drink a lot or use a lot of drugs if you're going to break into houses. Because Mark Smith broke into a house, but he had had so much cocaine and alcohol that he decided to curl up in the homeowner's bed and take a nap, where he fell asleep for 6 hours and was there when the homeowners got home. And by the time he woke up, the police were standing over him.
Must have been a comfy bed.
Yeah, really. Klaus Schmidt in Berlin was robbing a bank with a handgun, and asked the clerk, or the bank clerk, to gather all the money. And the clerk said, "Do you need a bag? To put the money in?" And the man answered, "Yes, this is a real gun." That means the clerk understood. That meant the guy was deaf. Go ahead and hit the loud alarm. The guy never heard it. Was still robbing the bank when the police showed up.
Oh my God.
These are true stories. Gene, this is Gene's throwing this one out. This is actually true about a guy who robbed a bank and wore a ski mask, but was wearing his company's work shirt with his name sewed on it.
Aye.
And people say, Scott, Therese, why do you guys like crime so much? This is why.
It's humor.
This is why. Even the good ones do dumb shit, and I like to find out what it is. Let's see. James Blankenship. This is just stupidity. Broke into his own mother's home in broad daylight while she was out. He got spooked because he thought he heard something, so he went and hid in a crawl space. The mother heard noise, called the police. The police apprehended him, and Blankenship was completely stunned because he actually did not believe you could be arrested for burglary in daylight.
Daylight?
It's not. Burglary has to be at night. You cannot be arrested for burglary during daylight hours.
Oh my God.
Yes, I know. Let's see. All right, a man, an 18-year-old kid. This guy had to be a little deranged. It was in Chicago. 18-year-old kid named Ruben attempted to rob a muffler shop in Chicago. He went in with a gun demanding money, but was told that most of the money was in the safe and it could only be opened by the manager. The manager was not scheduled to come in for several hours, so Ruben left his number and asked the guy to call him when the manager got there.
Oh my God.
And then he was arrested.
Yes, I'm just going to call you and have you come and rob us. Yeah, sure.
Oh, wow. Let me see. I mean, that's not the dumbest. Believe it or not. There's a man who decided, and again, let's get creative with our costumes, right? A 48-year-old man who tried to rob a bank in Pittsburgh. His name was Dennis Hawkins. He didn't understand the idea of having a good disguise because he wanted to disappear into the crowd. After he did it, he chose a woman's blonde wig, fake breasts, and bright clown pants. Even worse, in his effort to pretend to be a woman, he didn't take the time to shave his facial hair. So there was Pretty much a blonde-haired woman with bright clown pants and a big fake breast and a beard.
And a beard. Not too hard to pick out of a crowd.
Yeah, very, very easy to spot. Now, the award for the dumbest of the week has to go out to Albert Bailey, who was a juvenile. And a friend of his, he and another juvenile, decided they were going to grow up and be men and rob a bank. Albert got the bright idea that the reason people get caught is because it takes too much time for the tellers to put the money in the bags and do all that, and then the police show up. So he had a bright idea. He called the bank in advance to tell them they were coming to rob them and to have the money ready.
Yes, that was a bright idea.
Can't make that shit up.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to try to find some female dumb criminals.
They've got to be out there.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
But I got to tell you that, probably the top 1,000 are men. We don't think good under pressure. We really don't. I mean, if there's too many moving parts, listen, women can multitask. You know, women are cooking dinner. They're doing work from their job on the kitchen table. They got a kid on their hip and they're vacuuming with their foot. And they're doing all this stuff. Guys, if we're watching football and you say one thing to us, it's like you totally break our concentration. We just can't even focus anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But I'm sure there are some out there.
I'm sure. Yeah, so we'll find some women. We'll look at some other cases. If there's anything you guys want to talk about, you want to come on the show, we'll have to have Mom on the show with us sometime. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be fun. Okay. Not to change the subject, but are you and Gary getting together? We're hoping to soon. We're hoping to. He got back from his trip. We were going to talk about getting together. I've been on the road a bit, so sooner or later we'll have Live Out Loud back, but we're just going to find a time that works that we could stick to. But it's never dead. It's on hiatus. That's all.
It's on hiatus.
And the Exes, like I said, Teresa and I will try to be back every other Wednesday. Sometimes we get things get in the way of that, but we will always show up. There's never going to be a lack of crime to talk about.
No, unfortunately.
And certainly not a lack of stupid people to make fun of. That's
And watch party on July 31st.
Yes, July 31st. That's a big day. You say that's a Monday.
It's a Monday.
Maybe we'll do a special Monday night show.
And the nice thing is that Idaho's time difference works out pretty good with my schedule.
Yeah, because 1 o'clock there would be like 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock here or something like that. It's 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. I don't know if like savings affects that or what, but yeah, it's a couple hours. So for me, even if they start in the morning, it's usually getting to be almost time for me to be home.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing shows with people out in California and out in different places. And it's like, here it is 8 o'clock here. We're wrapping up and they're saying, yeah, well, we're going out to dinner in a couple hours. And I'm like, couple hours? What time do you eat? Midnight? But that's here. Out there, they're eating at 7 o'clock at night and it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
I think they should just get rid of that time thing. That doesn't even make any sense.
I know. I think so too, but
it doesn't make any sense. So the sun's out when it's midnight. So what? Nobody gives a shit.
Well, that is definitely not a danger here in New York.
What is going on? I mean, we got about 3-4 minutes. I just want to ask real quick. You in central New York, Rochester, Syracuse area, you guys have been hit pretty good with these Canadian wildfire smokes.
Yeah.
I thought it was gone, and then I heard on the other morning that it's back.
It's back, but it's not as bad as it was. Like, I'm a little stuffy, so I can't smell it, but the girls at work said they could smell it. But you could see a little bit of a haze, kind of. And it was kind of overcast today, so you could notice it a little more. But
there were times when there was a air quality warnings, though, right?
Yeah, we were up in like close to the 400 of the air quality, and they were giving warnings to stay inside.
And you work
asthma and blah blah blah.
You work in a doctor's office. Did you see anybody having results of that?
We had people call with some problems breathing, but mostly are asthmatics that just needed like add a puffer or something to their routine. So not awful. A lot of people did kind of listen and stay home though.
Why does asthmatics? It just sounds like a bad term. It sounds like asthmatics. It's why? Because it sounds too close to spastics.
Maybe
the spastic asthmatics. No, it just sounds like a bad term, but it's not. I know it's not. Yeah, God bless the asthmatics.
Oh Lord.
So anyway, we will be back. At this point, we're taking a look at the date, and we will be back on July 12th. Sound good to you?
I think so.
Actually, I'm thinking I'm not sure because I might be out of town that day.
Well, yeah, we might have to look at that. But the 19th wouldn't be good either because I think I'm on child duty.
Yeah. Well, we can always substitute like a Monday night or something on a rare occasion. Yeah. We'll figure it out as we get a little more involved with certain things and as we get our footing and stuff. We'll definitely do that. But keep an eye out because coming up soon, all of our shows, all of our past shows, and I think we have done, 36 shows together.
Oh, cool.
Maybe even a little bit more than that. But all of those are going to be available on iTunes and Apple Podcasts and Amazon Podcasts and anywhere you can find podcasts. Our audios will be out there. And hey, who knows? Maybe we'll pick up some listeners in Topeka somewhere or something.
Topeka.
You just might. We just might. All right. So any final thoughts, Therese?
See something, say something. That's a good motto.
That is a very good motto. All these things that we all end up shocked by, people knew. Somebody knows. Somebody knows. It's really rare when something happens and nobody knows what's going on. Somebody knows, and it's always somebody who turns their head and says, I don't want to get involved. It's not my problem, or I don't want the hassle.
Yeah.
And then you find out somebody's dead later, or somebody is lost their or been psychologically damaged or suffered trauma because you didn't say something. So yeah, I agree with you. See something, say something. I prefer that we be wrong once in a while than to never say anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. But for now, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Remember, every day, do 2 nice things for yourself, 1 nice thing for somebody else. You'll never have a bad day. I'm Scott.
I'm Therese.
And you have been watching The Exes. We'll catch you next time.